ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to week one of our NFL picks. Now, if you've listened to us at any point in the past, you know that Jimbo and I, we used to do the blue picks, which were our blowout, locks, and upsets. 3 games every week. We would make those picks, and we were supposed to keep track. Jimbo was a little iffy with that sometimes. This year, if you listen to the podcast, you heard Jimbo say we were doing something different this year. So what we've decided to do is we're going to do the entire slate every week. This week is obviously 16 games. As it goes on with the bye weeks, we'll have 14, 12, whatever it'll be. But we're going to give you all 16 games. We did 3 on the podcast, which you can go ahead and listen to right now if you haven't already, which you probably should. The reason you're here is probably because you listened to the podcast, so thank you very much. And now what we're going to do is we're going to run down the entire list of the picks for this week one of the NFL season.
And on top of that, in case you just found this video and didn't listen to the podcast, make sure you head over to Spotify, look up Stay Tuned Sports podcast, and you can hear our first 3 picks that we did.
We'll be there. And just to let you know, we'll remind you as we go down the list which games we did pick on the broadcast and what we're going to do. We'll run through those quick since we already talked about them, like the opening night game, which is Thursday tonight, if you're watching this when this is released. The Detroit Lions against Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs favored by 5.5. Jimbo himself, he picked Detroit, correct?
Yes.
He picked Detroit and the points. I myself also picked Detroit and the points. I went as far as to say Detroit and the money line. Again, entertainment purposes only. You don't have to, don't take our advice for it. In fact, if you want to keep money, don't listen to us. But this is just for fun. Funsies. Yeah. Good times. Okay, the next game that is on the slate is the San Francisco 49ers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. San Francisco favored by 2.5 at Pittsburgh. Jimbo, who you got?
Even though San Fran just signed Nick Bosa to an extension, I'm going with Pittsburgh here. For me, the question marks with Brock Purdy, that's what this whole team boils down to. They have the weapons, but can Brock Purdy play how he played last year before Philly beat them? And the way Kenny Pickett looks, I think he's going to step it up 2 levels. I think you're going to see a big jump from him. So I'm going with the Steelers.
You're picking the Steelers and the plus 2.5. I got to go the opposite way. I really like San Francisco in this game. I like Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh can surprise some people. Can Pittsburgh win this game? Absolutely. They have a fantastic defense. Like I said on the show, I think Pickett to Pickens is going to be a tremendous hookup all season long for Pittsburgh. But I think if you're San Francisco, you have to show from the gate that you are the NFC favorite, which we both think San Francisco is the NFC favorite. And if you want to be that, if you want to be a team that people consider to be a Super Bowl contender, if not a Super Bowl lock, especially in the NFC, I think you have to go into Pittsburgh, even with that tough defense, even with that tough environment of the fans. As you know, Pittsburgh fans, some of the best in the NFL. I think San Francisco wins, and I think they'll cover. I think they'll win by at least 3. So even with the 2 and a hook, I think they win by at least 3. So I will take San Francisco with the 2.5. If you want to go ahead and go for the money line, San Francisco is at a minus 126. I would probably take San Francisco outright. Personally, I think they'll cover the 3 points anyway. So that is my pick. I pick San Francisco. You pick the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do we got next? Is the Carolina Panthers. We have an NFC South matchup. There we go. This will be something. Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons favored by 3.5 at the Butthole Dome. What you got?
I think this one's gonna be tough. This one might be a garbage game. I'm gonna go with Carolina, just because I think Atlanta is
Really?
the worst of the 2. Yeah.
Really? You're going with Carolina, rookie quarterback, not a lot of great players on there against Atlanta, who, say what you want, maybe a little iffy at the quarterback spot if you want to say that, but have talent. I don't know about that one, buddy. I don't know about that one. I'm going to go Atlanta. They're 3.5. I'd go the money line on them as well. That negative 186. They got minus 186 on the money line. I think Atlanta wins not just by 3.5, but I think they win by a lot more than that. Carolina is bad.
Well,
Like I don't know where you're coming up with this, but Carolina is bad. They're
let me
bad.
remind you, last year I took Pittsburgh in that week 1, and you said the same thing, and Pittsburgh won.
That's true. Well, again, I thought Pittsburgh started, but I think Pittsburgh has something that Carolina doesn't, and that's a functioning defense.
Yeah.
They had a rookie quarterback. They were iffy on offense. You weren't quite sure, but they had a competent and great defense, which they were able to get to Joey Burrow and hurt him, and that's how they were able to win last year against the Bengals that opening week. Carolina doesn't have that. They don't have that. So do I think Bryce Young is a future star? Yes. Do I think Carolina has a bright future? Yes. Just not this season, and especially not in week 1. So I'll go with the Falcons by a lot, and I'll pick them. They are favored by 3.5. I think they'll win by a lot more than that. Next game is one that you picked on the show, but I did not. That is the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore favored by 10. You, if I remember correctly, picked Baltimore plus the point. You picked Baltimore and 10 points, huh?
Yes. Yeah, I
think
the
Baltimore's going to
typical,
blow them out, huh?
yeah, just because Houston is too young, and I think there's too many holes still. But I think they'll get there in the next couple seasons.
Normally, I would actually pick Houston. Normally, I would pick Houston. I think I don't think they're a team that's going to get blown out a lot this year. I don't. But I think Baltimore, after this offseason, Lamar, Odell, and just the team in general feels like they have something to prove. And again, early season Ravens are good.
Yeah.
It's when you get later in the season or the playoffs, they suck and they can't get out of their own way, and they'll never make the Super Bowl. And I'll never pick them to make the Super Bowl for that reason. But I'm inclined to go with you, even though it's a huge number. 10 is a huge number, especially NFL. But I will go with you on that one. I will do the Baltimore Ravens. Given the 10 points, I think the money line outright is negative 510. There's no reason to take that. You'd have to bet a ridiculous amount of money to try to make any money there. So go with the 10. I think Baltimore will win by more than, and I think unfortunately it will be a blowout for Houston. And that just is what it is. So I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that one. Okay, next game. The Cincinnati Bengals with a possibly still lame Joe Burrow going to Cleveland. Cincinnati currently only favored by 2.5 there. Again, they're on the road. So they are at 2.5 though. Interesting. That's an interesting line. What do you think, Jimbo? Who you got?
I'm taking Cincinnati. Even a half injured Burrow will still beat the brakes off of Cleveland. We've seen Deshaun Watson that really hasn't shown that he's back to being Deshaun Watson from Houston. He has had a couple iffy games, and again, the Browns are going to be the Browns, I think. So I'm going with the Bengals.
This one is actually difficult. This one's actually difficult because at this point, with the 2.5 point line, it's close. It's close because I actually think Deshaun Watson. He's had a season now. He started off only after week 12 last year. After having missed the entire season before.
Excuse me.
Is he shaking off the rust? Is the rust gone? Does Cleveland have the weapons? Is Cleveland defense good enough? Does the power of Brownie the Elf at midfield help them? Early season Bengals, again, we saw last year, they struggled with the Steelers, and then Joe Burrow got hurt in that game. Now, we already know Joe Burrow has the calf pull. Is that going to be something that lingers? You know, it's one of those injuries that's not something that's easily healable. Like it does have a tendency to stick around. Is that going to bother him during that game? You know, it's a division game, but with the fact that the line is only 2.5, I think the Bengals can beat the Browns at least by 3.
Okay.
So I'll take the Bengals giving it 2.5 at Cleveland. I don't know if I would go money line on that one though. I mean they'd have to win outright anyway.
Yeah.
But I think the game's going to be a lot closer. Can Cleveland win that game? Yes. This isn't a case where I think Cincinnati blows them out. I don't. I actually don't. I think the Browns are a good enough team. Are they a playoff team this year? That's arguable. That's very debatable, especially in that division. But can they be a good team and a team that you have to worry about if you play them? I think absolutely this year, especially if Deshaun Watson kind of shakes off that rust. I mean, it could end up with a happy ending this season for him. So I had to. I'm sorry. I had to. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. So we both got the Bengals on that one. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Minnesota Vikings. Vikings favored by 6. Who you got?
All right, let me see here. Minnesota, Tampa Bay, 1 p.m. Oh, 1 p.m. Okay, Minnesota.
You got that. You got to have that 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins, baby.
Yep.
Got to have that 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins. I agree. Tampa Bay sucks. We're going to make this one easy. Minnesota wins by more than 6. I think so. Especially early season Vikings, 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins. I think that's all you really need to know. Vikings take that. Next game was one that I picked on the show. You did not. Arizona Cardinals at the Washington Redskins. I said Washington Commanders are Washington football team of Redskin Commanders. There we go. That's the proper name. Washington favored by 7 over the Cardinals, which are somehow nominally an NFL team. Again, I picked Washington, and I picked them by a lot more than I think the 7 point spread here. Jimbo, who you got?
Well, I mean, Arizona, they have like, a 5th string quarterback starting for them. So they
Josh
have
Dobbs,
a
baby.
chance. They have
Josh
a
Dobbs.
chance.
Gotta love Dobbs, baby.
I'm going Washington. This is going to be a game that's not going to show up on the red zone. Maybe for every touchdown that Washington scores, but yeah, this is going to be a bad.
Yeah, they like
bad
showing
game.
every touchdown, so you'll see that. But yeah, I agree. Like I said before, I think this one might be over before halftime.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a possible case there. As we move on, we go to a battle of Souths, the AFC South, Tennessee Titans at the NFC South. New Orleans Saints, New Orleans getting the 3 points at home. Interesting. Jimbo, who you got?
You know what? I'm going to go Tennessee. I think they're kind of like the Baltimore Ravens too. I think you're going to see the early season Titans that fall apart, that don't fall apart in the beginning. Derek Carr being in New Orleans, I don't think he's going to be enough. Maybe we might start seeing a little bit of a fall off because he's later in his career now. But 3 points, I think Tennessee could cover that.
New Orleans is a hard place to play. Always is, no matter what. It's a hard place to play. I like Derek Carr. I think he's a above average quarterback. New Orleans still has weapons. Even Michael Thomas, who's as disgruntled as he is, he's still an absolute weapon. I know Alvin Kamara is out for the first 4 games, I believe.
Yeah, 3 or 4 games.
Which is why they got Jamal Williams there from Detroit, who I believe I like Jamal Williams. And the New Orleans defense, I think, is good, at least good enough. I think all of those things together, I think New Orleans wins this game. I'm with New Orleans on the 3. I think they can go ahead and win that. I don't know if I'd be brave enough. I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to do well. The money line, you're not really getting that much anyway. It's a minus 174 for the Saints, so you might as well just go with the 3. I think because I don't know, the 3 might be a push. You might get but it doesn't have the hook on it, so that's a problem.
Yeah.
So that's it. If you're afraid of not having a hook or getting a push out of that, maybe go with the money line. But yeah, I'm going to take the Saints in that game. I'm taking the Saints. with the -3 at home. And if you feel like taking the money line, hey, listen, that's you. Like you said, entertainment purposes only. You don't take our advice. Listen, look at us. Look at me. I'm not, I'm not talking to you from the Ritz Carlton here. You know what I'm saying? What do we got next? This should be interesting.
Oh yeah, because this could
Could be
even
interesting. Could be not be. I don't know.
this could be
You
a
have the
really
Jacksonville
really good game or a
Jaguars.
bad game.
It could be. It could go either way. You have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are at the Indianapolis Colts. The Jaguars on the road. Roadies getting 4.5 points, or giving 4.5 points. Sorry, Jimbo. Who you got?
I'm going Colts. Um, Before we start recording, I was going to go Jacksonville, but I think the rookie quarterback is going to be better than what people think. I think how he played in the preseason, it'll carry over into the regular season. Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if this is like wishful thinking because I've been saying it for the past couple seasons, but I think you're going to see a regression in him. So I'm going Colts. Yes, Colts. Plus 4.5. And no, I did not have no Jameson yet.
Anthony Richardson is going to be a great quarterback. There's no doubt. He's got talent. Everybody around here says it. He's going to will the Colts to some wins this year. Absolutely. Just based on him. Outside of that, the Colts have Jack and shit, and Jack left town.
You never know.
You picked the Colts.
Yeah. I think Karma's going to come back to Doug Peterson for cutting his son.
You just said karma, so my fiance is going to think you're talking about Taylor Swift or something.
Jesus.
I think you're wrong. I think you're very wrong. I'm taking Jacksonville with the -4.5. I'll take that. I'll take them giving the 4.5 all day. I think they win by more than that, even in Indianapolis. Again, could it shock? Could Indianapolis actually be in a game? Sure, but I still think they lose by at least a touchdown. That's what I think, at least. Anyway, so there we go. We got different picks here, though. I like it. I like it. Yeah. We're not all in lockstep. I like that. Next game, the Los Angeles Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. We're getting to our 4 o'clock games now. These are the late games here.
Yeah.
Rams, Seahawks at Seattle. Seattle favored by 5 and a hook. Jimbo, who you got?
I'm going Seattle. Because I think Cooper Kupp is out, right? For St. Louis.
He's got the hamstring thing. I think it's still going to be a game time decision. They're going to say, but if I had a bet on it right now, I'd say he's probably going to miss the first week or maybe more.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Seattle. I think you're going to still see the same team from last year. I don't think you're going to see, because Geno's back, right? Yeah, Geno re-signed.
They signed him. Yeah, they signed him up.
I don't think you're going to see him as a one-off, one-hit wonder in Seattle. I think he's still going to play well. And you got DK Metcalf. Come on, he's a freaking beast. So I'm going with Seattle.
The Rams are going to be bad. I'm sorry, they just are. It's a shame what's happened to them since they won the Super Bowl. But listen, they went all in. They got the Super Bowl. This is kind of, I think, what everybody knew was going to happen afterwards. But to win a Super Bowl, you accept that. So they won a Super Bowl. They're not going to be very good this year. Do they maybe trade Aaron Donald during the season? Could be something. Keep an eye out for that. But yeah, Seahawks 5.5 at home. They probably win by more than that. Taking the Seahawks. Going to the next game. This one is going to interest you. This is one that I picked during the show. You did not.
Yes.
This is the Philadelphia Eagles at the Patriots. I picked the Eagles by 1 billion. I said, good, find an alternate spread. They're going to fucking blow them out. It's not even going to be close. Jimbo, I already know who you got. Let's be honest. Who you got? Just tell us and let's move on.
Well, I mean, we don't have Nick Foles, so I'm going with Tom Brady and the Patriots.
Tom Brady and Patriots. Oh, is he walking out of that tunnel? Is he?
He said he's going to be there.
Is he going to do a Shane Falco like at halftime?
Art, what? He's
Hard.
hurt. I'm going Philly because Patriots are going to need a lot more than heart to beat Philly. Yeah, Philly by a billion, like you said. I'll agree.
Yeah, I think it's Philly by a billion. Okay, next game is the I almost said LA. Going way
Oh,
back in the machine here. Las Vegas Raiders, the site of Super Bowl 58. They are at the Denver Broncos with Sean Payton, with maybe a revamped Russell Wilson. We don't know. Raiders debuting Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback. Also, with having some issues with Chandler Jones, which we didn't actually,
yeah.
all the NFL stuff that was happening, and we didn't even cover Chandler Jones stuff.
Yep.
So, again, lots of stuff going on. Broncos favored by 4 at Mile High, even with the baggage of the past. Is that just a Sean Payton effect? I don't know. Jimbo, Broncos favored by 4 over the Raiders. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with the Broncos, but the only way the Broncos win is as long as Russell Wilson stop kissing babies because he's not running for public office.
Nah, he's not a politician. You got to stop it, Russ. What are you doing? Got to stop kissing them babies and shaking them hands, or kissing hands and shaking babies, whatever it is you're doing. According to Sean Payton, hey, listen, got to be mean, got to be tough,
Yeah.
you got to get out of your second story fucking locker room and office that separates you from the team. Like, that's the thing. When you learn about that and everything that happened last year, like, obviously, first of all, Nathaniel Hackett, not great as a head coach.
No.
And second of all, Russell Wilson, huge douchebag.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if the Sean Payton effect is that effective to start off. May it happen as the year goes on, as everybody tries to get used to his system or do something like that? Sure. But I think to start, and also this is a year where the Raiders need to do something this year.
Yeah.
And especially douchebag. I can't remember his name now, the head coach.
McDaniels.
Is it McDaniels?
Yeah, it's still they brought him back and
I
Pete
couldn't
basically
remember.
said,
I was thinking of the one down in Miami, whatever his fucking name. I thought he's a McDaniels too.
yeah, he's a McDaniels too, but this one's Josh McDaniels.
That's Josh. Yeah, too many McDaniels in the
Yeah.
NFL.
Yeah.
Change up the fucking names. In fact, can we just fire Josh McDaniels then and get him out of
Yeah,
Vegas? Because
just get it out of the way.
we'll see what happens. But Raiders, even with a lot of kind of weird drama and shit going on there, and people hating the head coach and the GM and all that other kind of nonsense, I'm going to go Raiders. I'm going Raiders. They're getting 4 points. I think they'll win by at least.
Wow.
I think they'll win, even if they win by 1 point. It doesn't matter because
Yeah.
they're getting a 4. So I'll take the Raiders on that one. Might even go outright. I don't know about that, but I'll take the Raiders. I'll take the Raiders on that
All right.
one. What do we got next? We have. I think this was one that you picked.
Yeah, it was.
This was the last one that you picked. This is the Green Bay Packers debuting Jordan Love. This is the seeing. Are we going to get a third straight Hall of Fame quarterback from the Green Bay Packers? I don't know. They're going up against Chicago in Chicago at Soldier Field. Maybe one of the last times we see Soldier Field before the Bears move to Arlington Park in 3 or 4 years, whenever that is. If that deal is even still there, that's apparently up in the air now. Who the fuck knows? Everything around the Bears is always confusion and just terribleness, and everything surrounded with Chicago politics, which is never fun and never good. But there you go. You have the Packers and Bears. Bears actually favored by 1.5 at home, which, as everybody knows, home teams automatically get to 3 points. So the fact that the points kind of moved over to Green Bay there, but the Bears still favored by 1 and a hook. Jimbo, what you got?
I took the Packers with the upset. I think I said on the show, I think Jordan Love is.
Not sure if that's really an upset with it being 1 and a
That's
hook.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We were debating if that's really an upset. I think Jordan Love is going to play a lot better than what people are expecting. And Justin Fields, I think he's still going to be good, but I think some teams may be on to just contain him. As long as you contain him and make him pass, you have a very good chance to beat that team.
I think Justin Fields is a fantastic quarterback, a superstar in the making. He's all the Bears have.
That's
The
it.
Packers have a better team than the Bears overall. Am I saying that the Packers are a good team? No. But are they better than the Bears? Yes. I think that much. And we'll see how Jordan Love is. Jordan Love as dynamic or as great as Justin Fields is? Probably not. But as I said, I think it's more of a case of Green Bay's a better team overall. Green Bay, I think, wins that game. The Packers' ownership of the Bears continues even after Aaron Rodgers moves his residency. Yeah, I'll go with the Packers as well. Getting the 1.5 points there at Soldier Field. Next game we have. This one is actually a pretty good dozy. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. It's gonna be a fun one to watch, yo. It's gonna be fun. Miami Dolphins at the Los Angeles Chargers. I think both teams are fun. I think both teams are explosive but fun. Chargers getting the 3 or giving the 3, sorry, at home, favored in this game. Jimbo, Dolphins at Chargers. Chargers favored by 3. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Tua. And just looking at the over-under, holy shit, 50.5 points is the over-under. So there's gonna be a lot of NFL red zone with this game.
I think they're thinking I think there might be some points. I'm thinking there's gonna be some points.
Might be. But I mean, it's still gonna be a close game. That's the messed up part about this, is it's still gonna be a close game. Miami, I think, wins by 5 points, 6 points.
This one could be a push because one team might win by 3 points. Other, it might be last team that has the ball, gets in field goal range, kicks a field goal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick the Dolphins.
Okay.
I think they're gonna win. Again, the Chargers could win, but I think it'd be a push. Dolphins. I think the Dolphins win though, and the reason I'm going to give them the win is because the Chargers are coached by Staley, and he will find a way to get in the way and fuck it up for Justin Herbert and that team. So I will go with the Dolphins. I will take the Dolphins, who are getting 3 points plus 3. I might even take them outright with the plus 134 because as good and as talented as Justin Herbert and as that San Diego.
There you go again.
Well, they belong in San Diego. That's where they belong. They don't belong in fucking LA. They belong in San Diego. As good and as talented as that team is, both on offense and defense, I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins made a lot of good moves this offseason. I think they're going to be a team to watch out for. That AFC East is going to be a lot like the NFC East last year. I think they're going to send at least 3, teams to the playoffs. I think. Again, the AFC is a tough conference, but I think they can do it. There's a lot of good in that AFC East right now. Now we get to Sunday night.
Hey, you got some shit on your wall. I know.
I was surprised you didn't say I had some shit on my head too. Sunday night, you have the Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott, who Jerry Jones wishes was Jalen Hurts, or even Trey Lance, I guess, at this point. Unbelievable. Who says it's amazing that he keeps on waking up every morning. Who says that going from 96 to 63 miles an hour is an improvement. They travel to the giant HVAC, the giant air conditioner in the swamp, MetLife Stadium, to play the New York Football Giants. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Kayvon Thibodeau there on defense, ready to snack and eat them up. Cowboys favored by 3.5 on the road. They've won 10 straight against the Giants. The Giants have not beaten Dak Prescott since the 2016 season. Jimbo, Cowboys, Giants, Sunday night. Who you got?
I'm going Giants. I mean, I'm actually surprised they're not the favorite. Like, what is there?
I think history has a lot to do with it, and I think the name has a lot to do with it. The fact that it is the Cowboys, they have a hype machine behind them, And it's the history of they've beaten the Giants 10 straight times.
Yeah.
That has a lot to do with it.
I think and I'll also say this too. I think if the Giants beat the Cowboys outright, and I'm just with the points, I think that sets the tone for your season. That gets that monkey off your back. But with the points, only 3.5, looks like a low scoring game, 46.5 over under. But I'm going with the Giants.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest here. I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic, as we mentioned on the podcast earlier. I like the Giants. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, the Giants are definitely going to win. There's over. You don't have to go." I think, as always, the Cowboys have put together one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. And if games were played on paper, the Cowboys would win every year.
Yeah.
On paper, they are always one of, if not the best teams. But they just never seem to be able to gel. They never seem to be clicking ever. Even when they win 11 games, 10 games, 12 games, they somehow, it almost feels like, how did they get to that point?
Yeah.
And then they get in the playoffs and they fall apart. And it's like, no shit. Like they haven't even been to an NFC championship game since the mid-90s.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're looking at here too. And I think this is not the same Giants team that has lost 10 straight to them. You have Brian Daboll, who I will put out there, honestly, I think he's a better coach today than Mike McCarthy. If you want to put career against career, clearly he's just started and Mike McCarthy has a Super Bowl under his belt.
Yeah.
But I think today, in this country, I think Daboll is the better coach. So I think the Giants can outcoach the Cowboys. I think they have enough talent to do so. I think they're at home. Fans are hungry for a win against this hated rival. And I think if you, it almost feels like the Giants have to win this game. It almost feels like they have to. And plus they're getting 3.5. So if we're looking at just from a straight gambling standpoint, I think even if the Cowboys win, I think they win by a field goal. I think they win. I think it's a close game. So even from just looking at it from a straight gambling standpoint, I'm picking the Giants plus 3.5. Let's fucking go. And then here's the thing. It's a quick turnaround there for the people at the big HVAC in the middle of the Jersey Swamp. Of course, on Monday night, just 24 hours later, maybe the biggest debut in the NFL for week one, Aaron fucking Rodgers goes ahead and he takes the field for the New York Jets in those beautiful 80s throwback uniforms that they had. They played the Buffalo Bills. Bills at the Jets. Bills favored by 2.5 on the road. So we have the Giants and Jets both playing at home to start the season. Both underdogs to a division rival. Interesting coming on from the sports books here. Bills, Jets at the big HVAC. Jimbo, last game of week one. Who you got?
Going with my statement from either last week's episode or the week before, I don't think the Bills are making the playoffs this year. I think the Jets win this game, and I think they win a lot more. I think they win by a lot more than 2.5 points. I'm going to say by 10 points. I think there's so much drama going on with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, and I think you're going to eventually start seeing it now. So I'm going with the Jets. Jets.
That is, if I may say so, a Skip Bayless hot take.
Well, Skip Bayless or Stephen A. Smith?
Skip Bayless hot take. Skip Bayless, Stephen A. I don't know if you confuse who's who. I don't know.
Well, because Shannon Sharp was.
Shannon, man, you can't do that. And never mind. I was gonna. Shannon can't do it. That's all I'm gonna say. Shannon can't do it. Anyway, I think the Jets win. I do think the Jets win. I think the Jets, at the moment, have a more talented team amassed around them than Buffalo.
Okay.
I think, like you said, Buffalo seems to have a little bit of a headbutting, bit of a culture going on there. Josh Allen is coming off one of his worst seasons since he got better. Like his first 2 seasons were pretty bad.
Yeah.
But then he turned it around with the help of Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll wasn't there last year, and he was a turnover machine, especially in the red zone, which killed the Bills in a lot of games this year. The Bills lost a lot of close games late. And like I just think back to that Vikings game. They lost that game in unspeakable fashion.
Yeah.
Is the window closing for the Bills? Did they miss their spot? Because now you have teams like the Jets, like the Dolphins, who are pushing to go all in. You still have to then face the AFC regulars, which are the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Ravens. The Chargers are up and coming. Obviously, they're always up and coming if they can get out of the way of their own coach. There's always surprise teams like the Jaguars. Can the Browns be good? Can the Steelers step up and actually do well, which I think they can this year, especially with that defense? You know, the AFC has so much talent that the Bills' windows closed before it ever really opened. That they had like a 2-3 year window there,
Yeah.
and they kind of underperformed in the playoffs in the last couple of years. And now you lost a couple pieces. Is Josh Allen regressing? Is any of this happening? I think the Jets win. I think the Jets win outright. They're a plus 118 to win. I think that's a great bet to make. And with them being a plus 2.5, if you want to, I would take that. I would take that, or I would take the outright. Over under is 46.5. So there's going to be some points scored in this game, at least according to the books. They think there's going to be some points scored. I would skew to the over. If you're looking at that, I would skew over on that. But I'm going to go with, I think the Jets win. I think from being in the New York area, the way it feels is, however the rest of the season goes, both teams have to win this opening night.
Yeah.
They have to win against a division opponent at home to kind of put the foot down and be like, oh, we're serious this season. This is what we're like. We are for real. We are going to compete. We're going to be playoff teams, and we're gonna be a force to reckon with.
Yeah.
You have to do that. If you're the Giants, you have to beat the bugaboo team that you haven't been able to beat for 10 straight games. If you're the Jets, you have to beat the Bills, who have run the AFC East for the last 3-4 years. You have to. So we'll see. Like I said, we have the picks recorded. Jimbo's going to keep track of them to make sure that where we're at with it. Please keep track of them, unlike last year, because Lord knows my ADHD ass cannot keep track of shit. But there it is, the week 1 full slate picks here from you boys here at Stay Tuned Sports. This is fun. It'll get better and better as we do every week. Again, don't forget to listen to the podcast, available now out there on Spotify. You can just go search it, put Stay Tuned Sports in Spotify. It'll pop right up. You can listen to the very latest. You can go back and listen to us argue all the time, too, and listen to all my technical delays, because I got a computer that's 10 years old and sucks dick. You can do all of that. That's all wonderful there for you to listen to. Thank you once again for listening, and in this case, watching Jimbo and myself. My name is King. This has been Stay Tuned Sports. I'm going to leave it in. I'm leaving that in.